Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and a little bit of an impromptu live stream that I just literally decided to do today, although it's something I've been working on for a long time. But I'm going to bring in my guest tonight before we get into what this is about, and that is Big Will. What's going on, sir?
I have arrived.
I like it.
I am feeling good. I'm ready to see what the heck this is about. The 50.
The 50.
I was trying to say color me intrigued, but I don't know how to spell it. That's what the piece was for in the comments.
Well, I don't know how intriguing it is, but this has really been something I've been working on for a little while, and it has everything to do with something that you have done, which is you have a very focused collecting goal list. Like, you are super focused, your collection is super small, and I don't want that, but I want to be closer to that than I have been, if that makes any sense.
So what you're saying is you want to copy me, but you're not as awesome as I am. So
yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying. So before we get into this and where my thought process is and everything else, I'm going to shout out the chat real quick. In addition to you tailgating, we had ComicKid84 was in here tailgating, and he seemed intrigued also by the 50. 36 Chambers Tattoo Studio is in here. Thank you for joining us, sir. Crazy Guy Comics Sound Too Crazy is in here. Perry Comics. I think I missed somebody. Hawk79. Rod, Just a Rican. What's going on, Rod? So already got a bunch of really cool people in here. Good as gold. Thank you for joining us. Comics with Bueller. What's going on, Bueller? I don't know. Did the Bueller bump get Perry to 1,000 today? Say in the chat, Perry, because I know he's super close. So hopefully Perry is either at 1,000 or on the verge, because he deserves it. And so, and if you haven't, and you're in here and you haven't subbed Perry up, go sub up his channel, because yeah, he's right on the verge of getting there. Logan Torres, what's going on? All right, so I'll shout out some more people as they come in, but this is where I'm at. So like I said, want to be more like you, want to be more focused. And really it's because I feel like I've been all over the place a little bit since I got back into collecting. As everybody knows, very briefly, like when I was younger, late high school, college, I was a comic book reader. I used to buy comics. I kept them, but I never went back and bought like issues I didn't buy off the shelf. Like if I couldn't buy it new, I never bought anything that wasn't new. I wasn't really what I would call a collector, even though I kept my books in great shape and I kept them. I wasn't really a collector, like in terms of like focus on trying to get specific books. If I didn't find it on the shelf new, I didn't buy it. And I was basically that until 2003 when I moved to where I live now and basically was in a comic desert. And so in August of 17, I walked back into a comic shop for the first time in 14 years. Slowly from there, I got hooked. And it wasn't until like after C2E2 in 2018 that I decided I wanted to collect in a different way. I wanted to get bigger books. I wanted to go back and get stuff. I wanted to do more than just read new stuff. That's where I started finding YouTube channels and everything else that's led me down this path and everything else. But since I've been back in, one of the things that, because I had such a small 90s, late 90s, early 2000s collection, which means there wasn't anything very valuable and kind of an odd collection, is I've been overwhelmed with the possibilities of what I could go after and what I wanted. If that makes any sense. Like, because there's so many different routes you can go. And it's been a bit of a struggle to get to where I want to be in terms of, like, because I'm constantly seeing stuff, ooh, shiny, you know, it's like, or squirrel, and it's like, oh, I'm going to go after this, and then I get completely redirected. And so I'm trying to do a better job. And it kind of started, and if you guys have watched my videos this year, I've had a bunch of videos where I've talked about want lists and what I'm after, my 2019 goals, and I've went through a bunch of iterations, and I'm going to show a few of them. Like, my original 2019 list, I had like a mid-range book list that my goal was to get 6 of the 10. I'm going to make myself. I'm going to do this for just a minute, just so people can see this. So I wanted to do 6 of the 10, and then I also had like a big Grail list that my goal was 1 of 4, and I kind of went through that. And when I got to, but by May, I was like, is that really my want list? There's some books that I'd already like passed on to buy other books that were on there. And I started to make a new list, and I made this one, and I like threw it out because it was stupid and not realistic. And like for 2019, it wasn't. And hey, hi, Alea. Who dat? What's going on? I'm going to shout out a couple more people as I'm telling my story here. I think that's it. I think those are the only 2 I've missed. The Comic General hopped in here.
Your chat is stacked.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people in here. I thank you all for joining us. So I then tried to really simplify, and I made this list, which I still haven't like checked off the last book on this list because I haven't found a copy I really wanted. And to a certain degree, from a financial standpoint, this was more accurate of a want list. But the problem with it was almost too focused in terms of it didn't allow me, like, I've ended up buying some other stuff because I found opportunities and good deals. So this is all big, long story short is where I'm getting to here. So ultimately, in late July, after I reached my big goal for the year, which was that Detective Comics 359 first Batgirl, I made this long-term, after I bought it, long-term want list. It was 20 books. Put them up here. Like, and this list is really accurate in terms of some of the stuff that I really want. But the problem with it, what bothered me about this list was I felt like it didn't show the progress I'd already made in any way, shape, or form. It was kind of an arbitrary starting point, if that makes any sense. So it bothered me. Like, it bothered me not because of the books were wrong, but because I didn't feel like it showed how I had done as a collector since I got back in. It didn't feel like it was accurate in what my true long-term goals were because it was this arbitrary stopping point. Old Wolf, thank you for joining us. Perry, I don't know what to say to you. Well, I appreciate you listening, Old Wolf. I appreciate that. Hey, Matt, what's going on? 7 is in the chat. So I went through all these iterations just this year of what I wanted. And the other thing I found was I kept buying some things that weren't necessarily on here. And I needed to, like, although I haven't bought much, but like I need to really like expand and focus. And Who Dat says he's reworking his list for 2020. And
you're going to expand and focus.
We'll get there. I'll explain what it is. So ultimately I decided I wanted to make a list of so the 50 comes in is the 50 comic books I want to own, whether I own them already or not. If that makes any sense. So, like, trying to keep it to 20, it just didn't work. It was weird. And 50 ended up being a little bit harder than I expected. Like, because when you get to, like, 40, and you're really making a list, because originally I started at 100, and I'm like, that's too big, and it's unwieldy. And, like, some of the ones that, like, 80 are like, are they really on there or not? And it was weird. So the 50 was really about, like, I felt like it was a decent balance of balancing stuff I picked up since I got back in and stuff that I still wanted. And it's a long term. It's not a 2020 list. This is not a 2019, a 2020 list. This is really, I'm thinking of like a 5-year or 6-year goal for me. If that makes, to me, that's where it is. So I will probably have a subset of this when I get for 2020 that I'll try to focus on. But it just allows me to kind of track where I'm at, I think, better.
Have you split it any other than just narrowing it down to like the 50 books? Like, for example, I have mine split up in ones that are definitely going to be PC. Then I have ones that are speculations. And then I have books that I would consider investments. So out of my whole list, I have it broken up like that. And I try and focus on one or two in each section.
So here's the deal with my thoughts on that. And I did a little bit of the dabbling in like the spec. I have some things that are in my collection that are spec or long-term investments. Ultimately, this is not that list. And I'm not that kind of collector. It's not that I don't want to have like books that gain value. It's not that I don't want to like have the opportunity to flip books or whatever. And if I stumble across a great deal on something, I might do it that's not on this list, but it'd have to be a great deal. But this is really about books that I want to have for me in my collection. I don't particularly enjoy it. Like, I will sell books. I have sold books. I don't particularly enjoy doing it. It's not something that interests me that much. Like, I will move books on, but I don't really want to go chase a book just so I will move it on eventually, if that makes any sense at all. Like, I know all of these books eventually I will sell. I don't have kids. Eventually, they're all going to go back out. But, like, when I'm old and gray and, like, I've gotten my enjoyment out of them, they'll all go back out because I don't have kids. So there's nobody to, like, I guess if my niece or nephew wants them, that's fine. But otherwise, they'll go back out.
You don't have to break it up because they're all PC books.
They're all PC books. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Come and get 84. Meanwhile, I stay thirsty for some spec. Laugh out loud. Hey, Downright Nerdy Podcast. Thank you for joining us. Sam I Am is in here. The Art Chemist. What's going on? Let's see. I already shouted out Who Dats. The boy I said Immortal Biggie Shack. What's going on, man? But one of the things I had to do with this, and it's not that I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, that I look down on spec or you shouldn't spec or anything like that. I've just decided it's not really for me. If I don't care about the characters, I don't really want the books in my collection. if that makes any sense at all. So that's just kind of where I'm at on that. I don't gamble or do stock market. So I scratch the itch with comics. And I get that, and I can totally understand why you do that. And I say power to you, man. Leave them to me, JP. All right, Silver Age. We can make that work, maybe. So first thing, though, I had to do is, in order to make it accurate list of 50, is I excluded 10 books. Because if you know anything about me, who my favorite characters are, there are some books that I would love to have, but I will never own because I will never spend the money it takes to achieve them, if that makes any sense. So, because it doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to make myself big again here. So this is what I called my unlimited income 10. And I just felt like they needed to be acknowledged as being something I would love to have, like, AF-15, Batman 1.
Wait a minute there, JP. Unless you're a stickler for a certain grade, the number 4 and your number 5, they're not that out of reach, even for you and me.
Well, they are, because I don't see myself I don't want a trashed, I'm okay with I'm not like a high grade, like, you know, I was super happy to get a 4.0 of that Detective Comics 359, but I just don't see myself ever spending the money that it would take to get those in a reasonably presenting copy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll stumble across one. I said that's why, and that is why I didn't like completely exclude them from the conversation, is because if the right thing comes along, really, if the right opportunity comes along, I might do it. I don't see that happening, I guess is the way I should put it properly. I have no idea what a 1.0 goes for, but
I think it's between like 8 and 12,000.
For 1.0?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in that range.
That's gonna happen. Like, never.
Yeah, but the Amazing Spider-Man 1, though, you can get a 1.0 for that one for
what?
Like around $1,000 to $1,200 or something. I might be overshooting the price on that one.
Yeah, I don't see that ever happening. but I wanted to acknowledge these books. Like realistically, to me, the one that probably would have the best chance is number 9. Because you can get that in a relatively, but
your fingers were blocking it a little bit. What are the last 2 you have on that list?
The last 2 are Brave and the Bold 28, First Justice League, and the other one is, and this is probably the one 10 is probably I could probably do, is Detective Comics 122, which is the first cover appearance of Catwoman. And so those would be books. Those are possible, but very, very unlikely. And I didn't want to put them in like this 50 because I want this 50 list to be achievable, to be books that I think I can actually get. So that's why those are kind of in a separate category. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Sure. Kamikaze just sub Crazy Guy. That is awesome. So Biggie, he sold my AF-15 1.0 for $10K. Who that did? So yeah. So yeah, that ain't ever happened. Right. Yeah, that's just like I don't know. I've only ever spent, let's put a little realism into my collecting and my spending, even before we get into this. I've only ever spent more than $100 on 4 books. No, 3 books. 3 times I spent more than $100 on a comic book. Only once have I spent more than $150 on a comic book. So, and that took me about a year of saving to do. Will you please stop, cat? Mid-grade for 14. So for the most part, hot, yeah, it's $500 and below. It's really something I think is a realistic range for me. So I didn't necessarily put 500 as a cap, and you'll see, but based on some of the grades, I have some target grades in here on a lot of these. That's really what I'm looking at. It's something that's like under $500. Biggie's only ever spent over 100 once. Good for you, Biggie. And you've got some bangers for not ever spending over $100 more than once. So
I have multiple times spent over 100.
Yeah. So Biggie's got some dang good books in his collection for only spending over $100 once.
Yeah, he does.
So ultimately the 50 is books that I have picked up. The way I ended up doing it was anything I have added to my collection since I started being a collector in 2018 going forward. So stuff I bought off the rack in the 90s, like I didn't include that because it was too hard to place on the list because it had anything that was valuable enough to be on the list was sentimental value, and it was just weird, and I had a hard time like figuring out how to place those books. What do we got? Where are you pointing at?
Who dat?
Yeah. You can get AF-15. I only spent around $400 to $500 for my 1.0. Really? Now?
When?
When on that? When did you spend $400 to $500 on it?
I honestly want to know when, and did you buy it raw or already slabbed?
My guess is he bought it raw to get it for that price, even the win.
Well, I don't know, dude. Like 10, 15 years ago, he probably could have got that for that price, even slab.
All about the dollar books. That's right. So we've spent 20 minutes here, and I want to be off. I know Matt, the boy at Seven's got a Comic-Gories coming on tonight here in 40 minutes. So let's get into this. So I will say that once you get a past about 15 on my list, the rankings aren't necessarily like perfectly in order. Like in terms of like if I was truly ranking 1 to 50, they're not there. I sort of started grouping stuff based on like, oh, here's a character in a group of books that I want all for this group, and I kind of just put them together, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I hate interrupting, but Who Dat gave us the year.
Last year, wow. Dude, you stole that book.
It is possible, man.
It is possible. Well, and I do want to, like, and I don't know if I gave that caveat or not. So
well, let me ask you this for a caveat then. I know you already have, thanks to someone special, a New Teen Titans #2.
Right.
But would you buy a lot of books that had that in it for like $60 to $110? Okay. And then try and get it slab and graded? Because that's what I did, and I wound up spending $60, including grading fees, for one, and it got a 9.6.
Right. So yeah. So this is my this stack is my focus, like that I want to focus on. Like I'm not necessarily going to hunt for things that aren't in this list. That doesn't mean I'm going to turn a blind eye to opportunity, if that makes sense. And like I'm kind of setting a rule for myself of I don't want to spend more than $30 or so on anything that's not on this list, unless it's a really good deal, like something that I shouldn't pass up, like if that makes sense. So I don't want to like pigeonhole myself, but I also want to be focused. Like I'm not going to go on eBay and hunt for stuff that's not on this list necessarily. But if I stumble across something or I stumble across a good deal, I'm not going to like go, oh, look, here's a gift horse. Let's look at his mouth. I'm not doing that. I'm not walking away.
So you said the first 15 are in semblance of an order, but then the rest aren't?
Well, they are, but they're also kind of just grouped. Like, and you'll see when I get into it. Like, the books that are related to the Titans are all kind of in the list together.
All right.
If that makes any sense.
I think we've built them up pretty good, man. Let's see this 50.
Okay. So the fun thing is, like, my first 10, I've actually already like got a pair. Let me make myself big again. Or wait, should I go from 50? No, I'll go from the bottom up. I'll start at the higher rank stuff. So the first 10, I'm actually already doing pretty well. The Tech 359, Tale of Teen Titans 44. So first Batgirl, first Nightwing. Lois Lane 70, that's the first Silver Age Catwoman. I haven't grabbed that one yet. ASM 42, that's the first Mary Jane. ASM 31, for those that don't know, that's the first Gwen Stacy. That's a book that's on, and Harry Osborn, but Batman 181, thank you, Kavi. He's not in the chat, or at least I haven't seen NYC, but I'm still amazed by that that's part of my collection. And so, like, I've gotten 4 of what I consider kind of the top 10. Like I said, these are mostly in order. All of which this year I've picked those up. So it's been a really good year. So Batman Adventures 12 is the first Harley. You guys know what a bunch of these are, but like my own shorthand, maybe some people don't know all of them. First Black Cat, first X-23, and then DC Comics presents 26, the first of the new Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Where Raven, Starfire, Cyborg, their first appearance. So that's kind of the 10. That's the first 10.
So of that first 10, what do you think is the most realistic to try and go after first? I would assume number 10 and number 5 would be the easiest ones to go after.
So the books that I'm focused on right now from this part that I'm looking to maybe try to add at least one of this year, like still here in like is my Christmas / birthday gift to myself. Because my birthday's right around Christmas. Is number 3, number 5, number 8, and number 10. Those are the 4 books that I've been looking at actively. So, and again, it comes down to one of the reasons like I felt bad about that list where I just had Tech 359 and Lois Lane was it I felt like it pigeonholed me because I haven't really found the right copy at the right price of that Lois Lane 70 yet. I found books that I could afford, but I didn't necessarily like the condition, and I found some I liked the condition on. I didn't necessarily like the price, and so those are kind of where I'm at.
Well, you do obviously what you want to do, but out of those you mentioned, I personally would go for the DC Comics Presents because it's the first of a new team, and it's the first of 3 different characters, so it has 4 things going for it.
Oh, I did. Like, I went to that little mini con a couple weeks ago, and I looked hard at 2 copies of that. Like, and ultimately, I just didn't like the grade / price combination. Like, I looked, it was close, but where I was at, what I could really afford to do. I still got Hudash comment up from last year. Hialeah, I don't know if I shouted out Hialeah. He's been in here, I think, for a while. I don't think I ever shouted him out. We need to win the lottery, JP. Yes, Olivia, I do need to win the lottery, but it's not going to happen. Thank you for joining us. Go timely, JP. Did I miss something?
He probably means Golden Age Marvel.
Golden Age. We'll get there. We'll get to like some older stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes,
so,
I like
that's our first tip.
Advantages. So, and he's right. Like 31 and 194 are both really reasonably priced. But so let's see. Anybody else I have not shouted out? I think I've gotten everybody. But I did see. I don't know if I ever shouted out Bear Island. Thank you, Adam, for joining us. So you got here just as the list was starting. So kind of my next 10 after that. Hawk asked about Batman 608 second print. That is a book I already own. I debated on putting it toward the bottom of my list. Kat, you were just in the way. And ultimately it didn't make it. It probably made it because I own it, or didn't make it because I own it, as opposed to a couple of the books that ended up on the bottom of the list. It was hard when it was like, because there was books like, I want this on the list, but because I don't own it, but probably should have outranked it. Next 10. So some more, a lot of ASM here at the top. 59 is Mary Jane's first cover appearance. 61 is Gwen Stacy's first cover appearance.
That's hilarious.
Driving me crazy.
No, I mean the fact that Gwen gets a cover appearance after MJ.
Oh yeah. Well, she actually, like they took forever to get both of them on a cover when you think about when they first appeared, like, which is just surprising. As integral as both of them have been to the story all along, especially Gwen to the early story. So Edge of Spider-Verse #2, which is the first big book I ever bought, in any kind of way, shape, or form. That's the first time I spent over $100. But I still got a pretty good deal on that. ASM 25 is Mary Jane's cameo where they hide her with the flower or whatever, you don't see her face. Hawkman #4 is the first Zatanna. And then I have a couple of covers here. I have like a string of 3 covers, and this is why I say it's kind of starts getting grouped. I have a string of 3 covers. My favorite Art Germ cover, which is Batgirl 12. My favorite Adam Hughes cover, which is Catwoman 51. And then Batman 251, which is my favorite Joker cover. The Neil Adams classic.
Flipping off the card.
Yeah,
right.
With the card and everything. Star Wars #1, just because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And then New Teen Titans #1, which Bear Island and you are in here, which is the reason I have actually 2 copies of that book. One slab, one raw. You guys both hooked me up this year with that book. So that's amazing. Let's see.
So on that list, it looks like your Mary Jane stuff would be the easiest to go after, aside from the covers.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Jay Hood dropped in. Book sold. That Golden Age Detective Comics book sold for $650, Biggie. I don't know which Golden Age Detective Comics you're talking about. You're doing your top 20 for 2020. No, Gomez. This is actually my top 50 for like now to 2024. So, because of where my budget is, I will have like a top 8 or something that I will target next year. That I will put out on a 2020 list. Let's see. Gomez is in here. Thank you for joining us. Jay Hood joined us. Gomez just got a Batgirl 12. That's awesome. I won't tell you guys the most I spent. I'm sure it's significantly more.
We can imagine.
Yeah. I wonder what I missed the book that Biggie and Comic Kid 84 are talking about, but
I did too. Oh, wow.
They focus on books that haven't popped. ASM 31 is undervalued, I think. And that is one that, like, people give me a hard time about the fact that I focus, and you can see from my list, I focus on a lot of female first appearances.
Nothing wrong with that.
But one of the reasons I do is because a lot of those books haven't popped the way a lot of the male first appearances have. Like, you're a lot more affordable to go after those characters. And I think they have more potential. Well, not necessarily more potential, but they have a lot of potential because they haven't spiked the way a lot of the male heroes have spiked over already. So it's not just that I like those characters more than some of the male characters. It's that I can also like, those are books that I can actually really target. But none of you listen to that and don't go after any of the books on my list until I get them. So, Detective 13. I don't know which Detective 13. I don't know which book that is for sure, but I don't remember which. That's before like original Detective 13. That's like before Batman. I don't know what that is. But he does go right. You gotta wait till Grail's cool off before you buy. Yeah, some books you just have to wait on. You have to be patient. Unruly is in the house. What's going on, Unruly? Thank you for joining us. Unruly is almost always here. DC Kirby is undervalued still. He is correct on that. So moving into the 20s. And again, you'll see like I had that last book was that New Teen Titans. I got Brave and the Bold 60, Brave and the Bold 54. 60 is the first time they use the name Teen Titans. 54 is the first time they team up.
60 is also the first Wonder Girl.
Yes, it's also the first Donna Troy. So that's kind of a nice double on 60. From Here is the Icons. What's up? Thank you for joining us. So then I have kind of my Carol Danvers little lot of 3 books. Miss Marvel #1, Avenging Spider-Man #9, which I already own, and then Marvel Superheroes 13, which is Carol Danvers' first appearance. Then I have a couple of Batgirl related books or Barbara Gordon related books. Black Canary Oracle, Birds of Prey #1, and then Batgirl Adventures #1, which I just love that cover. And then I get into the Golden Age stuff. And I have like, it goes on to the next list as well. So one of the things I'd like to get is, and I haven't, none of these have specific issues tied to them yet because I haven't like finalized which issues like that I really want to go after. But I want to add to my collection like one or more eventually Golden Age like Catwoman covers, like pick off some that I can actually afford. Some of them I can't, but some of them I can. Some Wonder Woman stuff like Sensation and a Wonder Woman issues. Again, I haven't decided on the exact issues. I want to talk to some people that are Golden Age people. And kind
I
of
like Wonder Woman #9.
#9.
It's the first Giganta as well.
Oh, nice. So, like, there's some books in there that, like, I don't know enough to, like, really pinpoint, I want this one or this one or this one, but I do want to have those in my collection. and that kind of continues. Like I want to have a Golden Age Tech. I want to have a Golden Age Batman. I want to have a Golden Age Star Spangled from the run where Robin is on the cover, because those are Robin's solo stories, and Dick Grayson is like my favorite character. I want to have like some cool. I'd like to have some cool Golden Age sci-fi stuff. So
the great thing about doing those like you're doing them is you're allowing yourself the option to get affordable copies.
yes,
And then you can narrow it down from that to what you really want. So that's actually a good way to put it on your list.
yeah, and that, rather than like pinpoint, I want this issue. It's like I want to look for. It's really about looking for an opportunity in a book that matches for these. If that makes any, like the right opportunity, the right value, the right cover, the right book combination is really what I want to do, and I want to get some advice from people that do some Golden Age stuff.
Yeah. My problem is I've already chosen my Golden Age detective comic issue.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's 31.
Oh.
That time I checked on a 0.5, it was over $8,000.
Oh, yeah. That one probably won't make my list just because it is an awesome cover. It's maybe the best Golden Age Batman cover or detective cover.
It's top 3 of all time.
Yeah. And people know it.
Yeah.
So let's see. There's a lot of chat going on. Got to get an OMAC 1 Demon Slabs. We covered our DC Kirby. So lots of chat stuff going on in the chat.
Yeah.
So the rest of my 30s, Zatanna 15 and 16, which are some more Adam Hughes love for me.
Oh, okay.
Like I already have 15. I picked it up this year. I still want 16 is Dim Legs, the Thanatos book, the red cover. Wonder Woman 1 is from the George Perez run. Like
that one's very obtainable.
That's very obtainable. Like there's some books on here that are super attainable. So it's just kind of like it's a varied list. It's not just like big stuff. It's stuff that I do want though. Journey into Mystery 84, which is the first Jane Foster, but it's also the second Thor. That is a big book for my list.
Hey, at least it's not 83.
Yeah, because you'll notice like it's the lowest grades that I have found like acceptable. Like at a 2 and a 2.5. But I just kind of fell in love with this Jason Aaron run with Jane Foster's Thor, and then this Valkyrie run that's going on. I've just fallen in love with the character, so I put it on my list. That's going to be a tough book for me, but just because it is a little bit of a bigger book, but it's on the list. 363 and 369 are basically the second and third appearances of Barbara Gordon, Batgirl.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because I have 359 listed on my list, but none of the other detectives in the 300 at all. So I was wondering what those were.
Those are basically her second and third appearances.
Oh, okay.
So,
and at least it's easier for you now. You got the first.
Yes, those are much easier. And they're fun covers too. There's some fun covers there. And then the last 10 was by far the toughest. Like, to decide what made the list and what did not.
I'm going to take a wild guess before you put it up that ASM 15 is on there as a just in case because it's the first time they ever mentioned Mary Jane.
It didn't make the list.
Is it because it's also the first Craven that it didn't make the list?
Yes. It's because it is also the first Craven. Like I also debated on ASM 43, which like CGC claims is her first. They claim the 42 is the cameo, but I honestly that one doesn't really do anything for me because 42 is the one where she says
face it, Tiger,
you hit the jackpot. That's the one I wanted. To me, that's the first appearance. I don't care what CGC says.
That is the one I'd get first, then go back and get the older ones if you choose to do so.
Yeah. Batman 121. It's just been out of reach for me. 19 is my birthday book, and I want that 18 too. FF 18 and 19. Okay. I was like, where was he going? Yeah, those are great spec books too. And then, but this list was tough. There's a little bit of, you've noticed there's been kind of a lack of Spider-Man through most of this list. I tried to fill some of those gaps here. Ultimate Spider-Man #1, just because I really enjoyed that run when it first came out. And I missed the first issue. I had to get it via trade. I'd love to just add that to my collection. Ultimate Fallout 4, that's a bit of a spec book. You asked about, like, do I have spec? I realize it's already, like, hit pretty good. I still think there's a ton of them. I don't know that it's got a really high ceiling, but I still think it's got a higher ceiling than where it's at. 252, the Black Suit. Secret Wars 8, also the Black Suit. Carnage, Venom. X-Men 129, that's First Kitty Pryde, who, like, it's just one of my favorite X-Men, and I felt like I needed an X-Men book on the list. Like, I was missing X-Men, and I was like, I need an X-Men book on the list. That's the one that made it. Tech 8080 is obviously the cover. And then
it doesn't do it for me.
What?
It doesn't do it for me. It's not on my list.
Do it for you?
Doesn't do it for me.
And then the last two, I was having a terrible time deciding where to go with the last two spots. And ultimately, to make it life easy on myself, I went with nostalgia from my childhood, books that I didn't own, but that were such a big part of why I got into comic books to begin with, which was $4.97, which I already do. I now own a 9.8 of the direct edition and a newsstand copy of The Breaking of the Bat, and then Superman 75, The Death of Superman, which I still want to get a couple, like...
I'm surprised you don't own that one already.
I just haven't done it, and I just haven't ever pulled the trigger on it to get it, and I put them on the list really because, like I said, I was having a hard time finishing out the list, and I was like, I'll put nostalgia over everything else for those last two spots to make it easy on myself, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So that's the list, and those are the 50 books I'm going to try to really focus on. And there's a wide variety there. There's some really expensive stuff. There's some really reasonable stuff. There's covers. There's Silver Age. There's a couple of modern stuff. I feel like it's a little bit of an eclectic list, but they're all stuff that I want to add to my collection. And I feel like it's a good goal. Is it a perfect list? Probably not. Could you talk me into, like, oh, I probably want that book more than something that's on here? On some books, yes. Make us back to equal, but I'm not showing the list anymore.
Well, what I do in that case is, if I've decided this is the list, so if I want something that's not on the list, I have to take something off the list, and that way I have the same amount.
Yeah, and that's the way I would operate this. If I ultimately decide there's something I want, something has to come off, and for something to come off, it has to be something I don't own, because that's cheating. Like, and that's the philosophy I'm thinking. I can't go in and go, oh, well, even though it's toward the bottom of my list, I'll just take ASM 361 off the list. Well, no, that's cheating. I already got that book. Taking it off the list because I have it is a little bit, well, I mean, I might do it, but I don't want to do that. I feel like that's a little bit of cheating.
Well, I'm going to wait till I get pretty much my list done. Then I'll come up with a new list.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to do here. It's like, this isn't like the end. This is just where I'm going right now. And then I get this all pulled together, and then there will probably be a new 50.
It looks like you got an offer for a free 75 in the chat.
Ancient Mariner, you don't have to do that, man. It's just something I hadn't managed to pick up. But so the nice thing is, you guys notice I had circled books. I have 11 books already off this list. So I'm operating from, there's actually 39 books that I need from here. I figure, so like I said, this is kind of my goal for 2020. It's a 5-year goal. It's, given my budget and everything else, I feel like a 5-year goal is realistic. So I have to average 8 books a year, basically, between now and 2024 to knock this out. And I feel like for me, that's a reasonable number. That's something that's achievable. And that's just kind of where I'm at. What do we got here? Actual auction for most people. The books I'm after, people crazy with buying down prices. Yeah, you gotta look for opportunities. And one of the reasons I went out to 50 was so it would allow me to like spread my not like I'm focused. There's 50 books. It's not this unending list that I kept making before of like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. But it also allows me to like look for opportunities within this 50. There's a lot of books here that if I stumble across the right opportunity, I can take advantage of if my budget is in the right place at that time and that kind of thing, which is one of the reasons I'm making a strong effort to really cut back on my new books next year.
How many did you manage? I had to leave that chat. How many did you manage to actually cut? What'd you have and what did you cut to, not counting like miniseries and stuff?
Okay, so I cut to right now in my pull list through December. I'm sitting at, if you look at it right now, there's 21 books in my pull list. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. No, 4 books end on December 18th. 4 series in. That's the last book. Actually, maybe 5. Basically, for February, right now my pull list is at 15. I'm pulling 15 titles, I think, in February. And in February, I haven't done it yet because I'm going to wait because I keep my discount until December 18th. And then when all those other books come off, I still have time to cut for February before previews closes. I'm cutting Justice League because Scott Snyder's coming off of it. And I'm probably cutting Avengers. So I should be down to like 12 or 13 titles for February's pre-order from where I was at 24 when we started that video the other day. So, and I was cutting for February or for January. You have 2 things you're pulling?
I have 2 items on my pull list, and one's a maxi series that'll end after 12 issues.
Yeah. So, and you know, I'm comfortable with that, and I probably like that gives me room to play around. There's probably a couple other things that will come off maybe in the coming months that are still on there at 12, particularly if I add something else. But I'm okay with that. I'm looking at about like I'll still get it like 12 books. I'll still get like a 15% discount instead of a 25% discount for my LCS. I'm looking at about $70 for February on new books. Whereas I was at most of this last year, I've been sitting around $150 for new books a month. So I feel much better about that going into 2020.
So do you know where that spread went? Or are you purposely setting that in like a savings account or something, that extra?
So it won't necessarily go exactly to the same account, but yes, some of that is going to be set aside to go after this stuff. Yes, specifically going to be set aside to go after that. Not every month would it be the exact 75 or whatever that I save by cutting back on those books. It's not going to, the way my budget works, and it's not going to work exactly that perfectly, but it's going to be, you know, I'm probably going to add, by doing this, $40 to $50 that I could dedicate toward this stuff. Yeah, by doing this, by being where I'm at.
Well, shoot, 3 months and you can add a little bit extra on, and you can get pretty much all of them.
Yeah. So
not at once, mind you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. What is Matt up to? Let's see. Oh, I'll tell you this. You get ready to have a show, man. So I don't want to keep you, but what? That probably.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm allowed to give a preview of that yet, Matt. So you have to tell me if I can tell everyone that. But 1 in 750 chance of hitting the Powerball. Yeah, I don't think it's that good when you don't play.
Does he mean you're going to be adding? Does he mean you're going to be adding a book to your list just to mark it off because he sent it to you?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that yet or not. I don't know if what he's. Well, I'll just say for those that don't know, Matt, the boy who had 7. If you watch his channel, if you're a subscriber, last year he did a 12 days of Christmas thing where his wife bought him a whole bunch of books and he opened them, surprised himself that were on his list. It was a great string of videos. You should go back on his channel and watch them. It's a lot of fun. He didn't know what was in them. His wife had just did it on her own. This year, he and her decided that it's better to give than receive. And so in the early December, basically every day on his channel, from like December 2nd through the 15th or 16th, except for the weekends, he has sent an AOK to a member of this community, and they will be opening it on his channel on a live stream. His 12 days of Christmas this year as he is giving stuff away. And yes, probably one of the books on my list is in this box. So I have no idea what one. It arrived today. I have to wait till December 9th is the night I'm on the show. So I'm going to be taunted for well, the sad thing is I have known about this. I don't know how long the other people that are getting stuff from him have known. I have known since early September that he has done this. Like literally, we've been on live streams, and he's like, "Oh, JP, I have this great book I can show you that you want to see. Only you can't see it yet."
Yeah, I knew he was doing something about that time because I kept getting questions like, "What's your favorite character?"
Yeah.
What characters would you like if you don't have those two? But I didn't know exactly what he was doing until a few weeks ago when he actually said what he's doing. He's a goober. That's what he is.
So, did your box arrive today, Big Will?
It probably did. I don't know. I haven't been out since my mail arrives late, like 5. So I haven't been out yet. Actually, when we get off here, I'm gonna go. I got to get some chips because I need some chips to have for my barbecue I'm going to eat. And then I'll be checking the mailbox. So mine may be in there, but I don't have to wait as long as you. I'm on the 4th.
There you go. Biggie, rewrap that puppy. I've been teasing Matt that that's what I was going to do all day, but I will not do that. I can wait. So
Matt, you were very sneaky, and so sneaky, I still have no idea what he asked for. A bunch of different things, like what my favorites were. So I sent him like 5 or 6 different characters. Multiple books go for all those characters. So there's literally like 100 different books it could be. I have absolutely no idea.
You know what? You might not only have it. I have it narrowed down to 39 because it's on the list. So there you go.
Wait a minute, but you didn't show him that list when he made the purchase, though.
No, he didn't.
So but it may not even be on your list.
It might not be. But I'm pretty sure.
Who knows? He may actually have sent you that that number 15, Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, but yeah, I bet he didn't. Yeah, I bet he sent me. You think he sent me one off of the unlimited income list?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
And it would be hilarious if he sent you one in a cracked slab that was a 0.5 and wrote a note like he thought I was spending a lot. That'd be hilarious.
Well, whatever he did was probably too much. I am super appreciative of him. We are at 55 minutes. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I'm not going to do a super recap of my whole list real quick. Well, I guess I can do it real quick. So yeah, these are like the books.
You read them off, and you ought to get it all done. You froze a little bit there, JP.
Yeah, I could do that. Rather than show it, just read them. So yeah. What, Big Will? Sorry.
That's you're a little choppy right there on the screen. I can hear you fine though.
Oh yeah, you're cutting out on me too. I don't know if everyone's getting it, if it's one of us or if what's going through to the stream.
You better just stick with reading them then. Just go 50 through 1 or 1 through 50 and let it rip.
All right. Let's go. We'll go 50 to 1. We'll do that way. Superman 75, Death of Superman, Batman 497, The Breaking of the Bat, a book I already have both the direct and newsstand of. Tech 880, X-Men 129, The First Kitty Pryde, ASM 300, Venom, ASM 361 that I picked up this year, First Carnage, Secret Wars 8, Origin of the Black Suit, ASM 252, First Black Suit, Ultimate Fallout 4, First Miles Morales, Ultimate Spider-Man #1, kind of a nostalgia book for me. Tech 369, third appearance of Batgirl, and the first time she teams up with Robin. Tech 363, her second appearance. Journey into Mystery 84, first Jane Foster, second Thor. That's a big one. Somebody's saying it's buffering, but you said it's buffering. So everybody else get ready to go to Comic Gories. And try to figure out which one. 12 days of Detective Jimmy. Wonder Woman #1 from the George Perez run in the 80s. Zatanna 16. Zatanna 15, which I also picked up this year. Those are just cool Adam Hughes covers. My Golden Age list. Golden Age sci-fi book. Golden Age Star Spangled comics, which is Robin's solo stories. Dick Grayson doing solo stories from the Golden Age Batman, Golden Age Batman, Golden Age Tech, Golden Age Wonder Woman, Golden Age Sensation, and a Golden Age Catwoman cover. And those are all, I haven't finalized the issues because I want to leave myself open on that and have some discussions about which covers, issues are the best deal / opportunity there. Batgirl Adventures #1, just because I love that cover. Black Canary Oracle, Birds of Prey #1. That's just a book from the 90s that I don't have, that I was a big fan of Birds of Prey. I'm a big fan of Batgirl, of Barbara Gordon. Marvel Superheroes 13, first Carol Danvers. Avenging Spider-Man #9, which I do own. Miss Marvel #1 with the Carol Danvers first as Miss Marvel. Brave and the Bold 54, the first time the Teen Titans team up. Brave and the Bold 60, the first time they used the Teen Titans name, and the first Donna Troy Wonder Girl. New Teen Titans #1, which I own a copy of thanks to Big Will and to Bear Island. Thank you both. You both sent me copies of that. Bear Island Big Will sent me a really nice raw copy that he also snuck in a New Teen Titans #2 with when he sent it to me. And Bear Island sent me one that is signed by both George Perez and Marv Wolfman. Thank you, fellas. You guys are awesome. Star Wars #1, just because I'm a Star Wars fan. Batman 251, my favorite Joker cover of all time. That classic Neil Adams. Catwoman 51, that Adam Hughes Catwoman cover. I just love that cover. Batgirl 12, which is the Art Germ cover, which is my favorite Art Germ cover. Hawkman #4, which is the first Zatanna. I do wish Zatanna was on that cover, but she's not, unfortunately. ASM 25, which is the cameo of Mary Jane where they block her face with the flower. Edge of Spider-Verse #2, which I own, which is the reintroduction of Spider-Woman Gwen Stacy. ASM 61, Gwen Stacy's first cover appearance. ASM 59, Mary Jane's first cover appearance. Into the top 10, DC Comics presents 26. First New Teen Titans, Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, all their first appearances. NYX #3, first X-23. ASM 194, first Black Cat. Batman Adventures 12, first Harley. Batman 181, which I have thanks to Comic Books NYC and his crazy generosity. first Poison Ivy. ASM 31, first Gwen Stacy. ASM 42, first Mary Jane, which I bought this year. Lois Lane 70, first Silver Age Catwoman. Tale of the Teen Titans 44, first Dick Grayson as Nightwing. And Tech 359, first Batgirl. Both of those I also picked up this year. So that is my list. I'm going to get off of here because I know Comic Gories is starting right now. And I don't want to overlap with them too much. I want to thank Big Will for hanging out with me. Thank you, sir, as I went through this.
Thanks for
you
having me.
were part of the inspiration of me doing this with your very, very focused collection. I'm not going to be quite that focused, but I am trying to do better and really like go after books I really, really want instead of just buying stuff. And so I want to thank everybody who joined me. I think we got as high as like 33 in the chat I saw at one point. That's amazing. You guys are awesome. You guys have a great night. Thank you, Ruben. I just now seen that you were in there. I'm sorry if I missed you earlier. Anybody else I missed real quick? The Comic General, no, I think I got him. So thanks, everyone, and we will catch you later in broadcast.